Welcome back to What the Flick. I'm Matt Atchity. This is Christy, Lemire. That's Alonso, Duralde. Recent news out of Georgia is about a bill that has been put before the State House that says that state-run agencies in charge of adoption could choose not to let adoptions happen to same-sex couples. Now that has not passed yet, to be clear, hasn't even really made it into the Senate in the state. So it's very early stages of the bill.
No.
Oh, sorry.
It's been passed by legislators. It's on the governor's desk.
Sorry, you're right. It's on the governor's desk.
It's coming.
It's coming. But to be clear, this has not passed yet, and Hollywood is already talking about what fallout there might be because a lot of filming gets done in Georgia. They are famous for some of their tax incentives. In fact, here in California, we've started doing the same tax incentives to get the productions back. That's been a strategy that a lot of states have done in many respects to get productions and their big money and job creation to come there and start shooting with tax breaks. So, but we may see a problem here in Georgia because as we've seen, there was a tweet last night from Ben Wexler who basically said, to my fellow showrunners, if this dumb bill becomes law, let's be done filming television shows in Georgia. He was a writer and producer on The Grinder and Arrested Development, and that immediately got picked up by about 64,000 people on Twitter, including Dustin Lance Black, Billy Eichner, and this could be.
Disney has said they're not going to shoot in Georgia if this passes,
Correct.
and that's all the Marvel movies, and all the Marvel movies have been shooting in Atlanta one way or another. They've been doing, a lot of, I mean, they shoot everywhere, but they've been doing a lot of stuff in Georgia. I'm from Georgia, so I get to talk a little smack.
Please go ahead.
Knock it off, for Christ's sake. Look, this is the same kind of thing that was coming up when cities were trying to attract the Apples and the other sort of large corporations of the world to set up shop there, and then they were, their local councils were trying to vote down anti-LGBT discrimination ordinances until they realized that people don't want to move to places that do that because they can't get the best talent. So if Georgia wants to put itself back in the Stone Age and lose out on the billions of dollars that they're getting every year from Disney and other showbiz entities, then go right ahead. But this is a ridiculous law. It's discriminatory. It's not going to stand up to any kind of scrutiny from the court system. And so just stop it. Like, the governor should know better than to sign this thing. And I'm hoping he doesn't, because it's just going to be a disaster. Amazon has been talking about setting up a big distribution center in Georgia. That's quite possibly going to go away. There's all kinds of revenue streams that are going to dry up so that the hardcore evangelical Republican base can feel better about how they stuck it to those queers and left some kids in orphanages rather than letting them find good homes. I'm done.
I can't add anything to that.
If you could take that mic off, you could just drop it. Yeah, we see, a lot of people complain, and for whatever reason, they don't want to hear Hollywood stars be political. They don't want the studios to get into their politics. And the way I always take that is, they only complain when
they're being contradicted.
When they're being contradicted, right? Look, like, I completely agree with Disney's stance on this, and if Georgia is going to pass this type of legislation, then maybe we'll take our dollars elsewhere. I think that's the right way to go, because you can use that level of influence. And before people say, hey, what about my First Amendment rights? Like, well,
what about Disney's First Amendment?
Well, right, but it's also the government, it's similar to when, we've seen recently in the news how different companies are backing off the NRA, right? And the partnerships they've had with the NRA.
That's the other stupid thing Georgia's doing, where the lieutenant governor wants to screw over Delta and getting some kind of tax break because Delta severed their ties with the NRA. And it's like, again, what's more of interest to the state? Like the actual revenue that you're making from corporations, or this hill you're gonna die on for these ridiculous right-wing principles?
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point, because I wonder where Delta Delta has every right to say, hey, we don't want to partner with those people. Absolutely, right? But I think you do end up in a First Amendment gray area if a state is suddenly saying, well, because you acted this way, we're going to take this discount away. Like, that's
That's it. No, it's ridiculous. I think quite possibly illegal. But I think the thing that it boils down to is that, yes, if you want to dislike gay people, you do have that right in this country. However, you do not have the right to be shielded from consequences of your bigotry. And so if the consequences of your bigotry is that people from evil liberal Hollywood don't want to come to your state and spend a gajillion dollars anymore, well, that's the bed you decided to sleep in.
Right.
I have nothing to add to this.
Sorry, this just really gets me.
No,
that's why we're bringing it up. Look,
it's crazy.
I'm a big fan of what George Carlin used to say about bigotry. That bigotry is the lazy way to hate people. There's so many reasons to hate people as individuals, right? Rather than to just group them in a class, right? It's just lazy. Like, get to know somebody, and then I assure you, I am much more personally despicable getting to know me than me just being a critic or whatever else you think.
I was going to say, my queerness is one of the least loathsome things about me.
That might be your only
saving. You'll make a longer list.
Right, that might be your only saving
Could
feature.
be, yeah.
Maybe. So who knows what'll happen here. We hope that this doesn't pass. We hope maybe somewhat more sane heads prevail in this particular
discussion. Is he very conservative, the governor of Georgia?
You know, I don't actually know. I'm gonna guess that he was. That's usually what they elect. Or at least I know they certainly elect Republicans, but obviously not Republicans agree on this kind of thing. But if we've learned anything from modern politics, and this is a thing on the left and the right, is that principles are one thing, but then it's about the money. You follow the money, and the money tends to dictate. And so in this case, the money is saying, hey, don't discriminate against LGBT couples who want to adopt. And so then we have to see how the state reacts.
You got to make cakes for everyone. Everyone needs a wedding cake.
Oy, with the
All
cakes.
couples need wedding cakes.
You know what? Screw the cakes. I don't care about the cakes. It's like the cakes is the very beginning. I'm more interested in the insurance and the death benefits and the hospitalizations and all the stuff that comes after the cake. I don't want your crappy straight person cake.
They might be delicious.
Gay bakers are better. They just are, and you know it.
Gakers. Yes. All right. So I think this is going to be interesting to continue to follow. We saw some of this backlash similar when the what was it, the 8 campaign here?
Yes.
Prop 8, yeah.
Right, Prop 8 here.
It was like 10 years ago.
And this is the thing that's not going to go away.
Look, this is like, this passed the Supreme Court, like LGBT marriage is a thing now, and everybody is trying, these people on the right are trying to desperately to chip away at it and find some exclusion and do what they did to abortion, which is like, well, sure, it's legal, but there's only one clinic in the state, sorry, all that kind of crap they're trying to pull now on adoptions and insurance and wherever else they can get their fingers in, because this is a thing that bothers them, and that's what Jesus would do, question mark?
It's not anywhere in the New Testament about.
Don't think so, but he says lots about divorce though, Kim Davis.
Okay, well, so
she's got
hopefully this won't pass.
I know.
We need to take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about a movie that you may have seen.